All right, today we're doing proteins, the third of 4 macromolecules. Proteins make up more than 50% of the body's dry mass. They're very important. They have a lot of roles within a living system, and namely the human body. Let's talk about some elements that are found within proteins. Well, Emma, what element is found in all living things? This what makes them organic. Carbon. Whenever you all hear the word organic, you need to think carbon, carbon, carbon. Hydrogen, oxygen. There's more than just those three. Those three are found in lipids and carbs, but now we're going to go further. The next one is nitrogen. And sometimes, not all the times, sulfur. Next, we have the foods containing carbs. Or sorry, I say carbs. I'm stuck on Monday's lesson. I meant proteins. So, Nikita, you're going to go home tonight, have dinner with your family. What is some type of food you could have that would be protein heavy?
A steak.
All right, so red meat. What type of animal does a steak come from? Cow. We're going to go with cow. What other type of mammal do we generally eat as a species or as a society? Deer, venison, good. Anyone else? Come on. Chicken's not a mammal. Red meat, pig. One more. Yeah, some people like lamb. Okay, someone said chicken, that's known as poultry. We'll count that as sheep. What other type of poultry do we consume? Pilgrims. All right, you said duck, turkey. Hopefully you're not eating any other bird. I have a thinker for you. What type of extinct animal did all birds evolve from? Right. So if you could actually eat a dinosaur, would that be considered red meat or poultry? I don't know. All right, next we have fish. You have nuts, eggs. And here's one. If you like to have lettuce and tomato, is there any nutritional value in lettuce? Zero. It's basically just a little bit of chlorophyll, cellulose, and sadness. That's the ingredients for lettuce. There's hardly anything in there. You burn more calories digesting lettuce than you actually get from lettuce. So if you want a type of leafy vegetable that's a little more substance, actually has better nourishment, dark green vegetables like spinach. Whenever I order a pub sub or I get a salad, I always have spinach. I used to do lettuce, and I realized there's nothing in lettuce. Lettuce is lame. Yeah. Hurry up. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to talk about the roles of protein. This is going to be a lengthy list, longer than any other macromolecule we have. There's going to be 6 different roles I'm going to share with you all. Role number 1, metabolism. This is the regulation of, actually not regulation, I take that word back. The breakdown of food and nutrients. One of the problems on your worksheet are name specific examples of proteins. I'm going to give you guys a lot. Here's one example. This is done by enzymes. Enzymes are proteins. They carry out chemical reactions. typically the breakdown of food. In this class, if you ever see me write R, X, N, S, it's an abbreviation for reactions, just like SOLN is an abbreviation for solution. So if you ever see me do that, I don't want you to be wondering what that is. Now, I have an example for you, and we're actually going to do this in class, probably in the not too distant future. I'm going to give each and every one of you a Ritz cracker. And what you are going to do is you're going to place the Ritz cracker in your mouth, and you're just going to let it sit there. You're not going to chew it. You're not going to crush it with your tongue. You're just going to let it sit. And after about 2 or 3 minutes, that cracker, which was just a solid piece of food, is going to get really soggy, really goopy, and really gross. Here's why. This cracker is made of amylose. Now think back to Monday. What size of a carbohydrate is amylose? Mono, di, or polysaccharide? No. It's a polysaccharide. It's starch. Now, when you place this cracker in your mouth, as it is right now, is amylose small enough to diffuse into your bloodstream? Absolutely not. Amylose is huge. Your digestive system's job is to break it down. So you have an enzyme in your spit. It is called salivary amylase. And the salivary amylase, and I want you to really focus on that word amylase, is named after amylose. Enzymes are named after what they break down. We will get into that plenty when we get to the endocrine and digestive system, but I'm just throwing that out there. And what letters are at the end of the enzyme's name? No, that's sugars. ACE, A-S-E. So in your mouth, amylose is going to be enzymatically metabolized into maltose. And what size of a sugar is maltose? Mono, di, or polysaccharide? It's a disaccharide, that's right. You then swallow the maltose. I'll say, okay, guys, you swallow your cracker now. And then it's going to go in your stomach and then into your intestines. There's another enzyme that comes from your pancreas that is secreted in your intestines. It is called pancreatic amylase. This is going to break down the maltose into glucose. And what size of a sugar is glucose? A monosaccharide. Is that small enough to be absorbed into your bloodstream? Yes. And that's the whole purpose. Without these enzymes, without those proteins, you cannot digest food. It's simple as that. Imagine that you had no spit, zero, like it didn't exist. You put the cracker in your mouth, is it going to digest? No, it's just going to sit there and probably get stale because it won't digest. Number 2, we have transport. This is going to be the movement of solutes throughout the body via blood. And for your example, can any of you tell me what is the name of the protein in our blood that makes our blood red and it carries oxygen in our blood? Anybody know what it's called? Hemoglobin is correct. Hemoglobin. It's a protein in blood that carries oxygen, O2. Without hemoglobin, we're screwed. And bonus question, what is the name of the mutation to hemoglobin that causes the cells to turn into a hook shape? Sickle cell anemia. It's a mutation that originated in Southeast Africa. It's beneficial to prevent malaria, but it causes blood clots in humans. All right, number 3, let's see, defense. This is going to be protection against the reoccurrence of disease. What do we call the little proteins made by certain white blood cells that fight off an infection that we have gotten before in our life, so you don't get it a second time and a third time and a fourth time? Antibodies. Back in July, I contracted COVID. If a doctor took a blood sample from me, he or she should find COVID-19 antibodies in my blood, which means I survived it. I now have like a natural defense against it. What's another way that you can develop antibodies from a disease like COVID or the flu? Yeah, a vaccine. So it's your choice. Do you want to get sick and get the antibodies, or do you want to avoid getting sick and you have the antibodies? A lot of girls now and guys get the Gardasil shot, which helps protect against the STD, HPV. HPV can sometimes cause cancer. Do you want to get HPV and be vulnerable to cancer, or do you want to get the vaccine, which can fight it before it causes any damage? I think it's pretty simple. You had your hand up, Nikita?
Oh, yeah. So if you get sick, aren't the antibodies forever?
Theoretically, yeah. It depends on if the virus mutates. I have chickenpox antibodies. I got chickenpox when I was 4. I'm 35 now. If you took my blood, you would still find chickenpox antibodies. But you may have been hearing people with COVID can get it like twice because it's mutating. That's why we want to get people vaccinated, because if you allow a disease to continue to spread, it can mutate and it becomes something entirely new. And that means you have to start all over again. Like someone might have, right now we're in the Delta variant, which is the 4th one. Let's say that you had the first version of COVID and you lived. You're like, all right, I have antibodies. Well, then you get the 4th version. It's like something entirely new. And your body's like, the heck is this? And you almost have to start all over again. That's why some people who are vaccinated are still getting it. But the effects are not that bad. COVID. People that are vaccinated are getting COVID sometimes, but they're not getting sick. They have it, they're just not getting that sick. Yes. No. You might, well, with COVID, you had that one day, it's your immune response. Your immune system is reacting to it and responding to it. You're not sick, you just kind of feel weak. Sick is like debilitation. You're not that. But yeah, that's about it. Okay, let's see. I mean, I had COVID, I was vaccinated, I was fine. But have you guys heard about like 99% of people going in the hospital now for COVID are unvaccinated? The majority of people that had to be put on a ventilator, which is a machine that breathes for them, are unvaccinated. Next one is motion. Motion aids the body to move. You guys will learn a whole lot about this in Unit 6. This is the actin and myosin in muscles that allow muscle contraction. When your muscles contract, if you're at the gym, you're doing curls, 1, 2, 3. Every time you're actually contracting your muscles, your actin and myosin are engaged. And when your muscles are relaxed, they're disengaged. Number 5, we have regulation. This is managing the body's processes. This is namely your endocrine system. This is going to be hormones. One hormone that I could use as an example is adrenaline. Adrenaline is a hormone that is protein-based. These are all proteins, guys. I've given you a lot of examples so far. And the last one is support. This is proteins that serve a structural function. Have you ever seen a shampoo that's called keratin rejuvenation? It kind of nourishes your keratin. If you have dry, frizzy, brittle hair, this shampoo is supposed to make it better, I guess, because it's supposed to have keratin nutrients in it. Keratin is a protein. It's in your hair. Where else is it found? Your fingernails. And it's also on the surface of your skin. Your skin has a layer of dead cells and they are keratinized. In fact, if I scratch my arm like this, you can hear it. You can't hear that if I was scratching my tongue or like my tissues underneath my skin where everything is wet because there's no keratin there. Another one is collagen. Collagen is like the glue of your skin. It holds tissues together. You guys are very young, and so your skin is very youthful. It's very tight and resilient. When you get to be an old man or an old lady, you pinch on your skin and it's going to be very thin and it's probably not going to retract. Like if I pinch my skin like this, it goes right back. But for your grandma, you pinch her forearm, it just kind of hangs there because her collagen is all brittle and broken down and old. So these are the 6 different functions of proteins, and these are many examples. I've given you guys a lot of examples: antibodies, hemoglobin, amylase, actin, myosin, adrenaline, a lot of different examples and actual purposes of protein. Are there any questions so far? We're halfway through. That's half. Okay, let's talk about the monomers of proteins. Proteins are made up of something called amino acids. For my former AP Bio kids, do you remember how many total amino acids there are in nature? 20. There are 20 different amino acids. They have weird names like serine, leucine, lysine, phenylalanine, tryptophan. There are 20 different amino acids in nature. There's 2 classes. One is called an essential amino acid. This is an amino acid that our bodies do not produce. The body cannot make it. So I try not to ask you guys like rocket science questions. I'm not asking you what is the cure for cancer. I'm just asking basic questions. So what I'm saying is don't overthink it. Here's one of those questions I don't want you to overthink. The answer is very simple. The majority of the 20 amino acids our bodies cannot make. We need them to stay alive. If you don't get them, you're going to slip into a coma and die. So how do you get these essential amino acids? You eat them. You eat them. Eat your food. The other kind are called non-essential. The body does make these, or it does synthesize them. All right. You okay back there, Sebastian? Did you have a bug in your eye and you're trying to kill it? You were supposed to say, yeah, Mr. Thorson. That's why I have both my eyes closed. There's a bug in my eyes and I'm trying to suffocate it. Okay. Here is what an actual amino acid looks like on a molecular level. What is the foundation of every biomolecule? What element? Carbon. And what is the maximum number of bonds that a carbon atom can make? 4. So here we go. An amino acid has a lonely little hydrogen on top. On the left, we're going to have NH2. This is called an amino group or an amine group. Every amino acid has an amine group. On the other side, we have a carboxyl group or a carboxylic acid. It goes by two names. Carboxyl group, or you could call it a carboxylic acid. This is COOH. Every amino acid has these. Every single one, all 20. But here's where they differ. The R group. The R group is what makes all the amino acids different. The way that I like to think of it is like a video game console. I'm sure some of you have had a PS3, a PS4, maybe you're lucky enough to have a PS5. Well, now with things like a PS5 or the Xbox One, you can actually download video games from online. But that's not the way it always used to be. Where would you have to go to get the video games for your video game console? You have to go to GameStop. You have to go to Target. You have to go to Walmart. When it was still in business, you would have to go to Toys R Us. They actually had the CDs. They had the game cartridges. I want you to imagine this part. Don't draw this. Just look. I want you to imagine the green part as a PlayStation. Kind of looks like the remote, doesn't it? I want you to imagine the R group as the video game. You can switch the video games in and out. Put in a racing game, take the racing game out. Put in Grand Theft Auto, take it out. Put in Madden, put it in, take it out. Put in Mortal Kombat, take it out. Sonic the Hedgehog, take it out. The R group is many different things. And that is what makes the 20 amino acids different. The R group represents a variety of molecules. It's what makes each amino acid different. So I want to be very clear to you all. There are 20 amino acids. They all have an amine group and they all have a carboxyl group. That's the same in all 20. It's the R group that makes them different. And now, because this is on your worksheet, we have to show how amino acids actually link together to form a peptide. Like, how do you make a chain of amino acids? So what I would like you to do is I want you to draw three amino acids. I'll do them up here. Do these in 30 seconds. There's one. There's two. There's three. I'll let you guys catch up. And I did not plan on teaching you this next thing, but I guess it is going to be necessary. It's more of a biology class issue, but it's hard to explain this next thing without it. So I'll let you all catch up here and we'll begin. All right, so I have three amino acids. Scout, I'm going to pick on you. I'm going to zoom in right there. Scout, can you tell me what happens when I have OH here and H there? What molecule do I get when I have two H's and an O? Thank you. Say that again. Water. There's a process called dehydration synthesis. Whenever you hear the word dehydration, does this involve adding water or removing water? Very good. If you're dehydrated, water's been removed. And what you do is, I know you guys can't do this on your papers, but if you erase that water, check it out. It's gone. I want you to focus on this carbon right there. How many total bonds does that carbon have now? 3. Can we fit one more in there? We can now. We just took out the water. So what we do is we connect those 2 amino acids. We now have them linked. Then we do the same thing over here. Lily, what molecule do I get when I circle the OH and the H? Water. I'm going to dehydrate it. Does that mean add it or take it away? Take it away. Gone. And now I can link those 2 amino acids. We now have a peptide chain, everybody. These bonds right here and right here are called peptide bonds. A peptide bond is what holds amino acids together. This is how we make protein chains. So, Scout, if taking water away makes the bonds, what would happen if I added water? You break them up. I'll show you how this is done. Look up here. Let's put that bond back. If I put OH here and H there, that means that the carbon is going to break that bond and re-grab that, and then this will reform there. And now they're separate again. Okay, we are about 75% done. Now time for the final stretch. Let's do the structures of peptides or proteins. This is the last part for today. There are 4 sizes of protein. We're going to go in order. What is the Spanish word for first? Primero, primary, first. That's where we're going to need primary, first, pre-K, primary school. This is the first structure. This is a chain of amino acids. That's all. Kind of looks like this. Every different color is just a different amino acid. How many different amino acids are there in nature? 20. So I could go on all day like this. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 amino acids. That's all the primary structure is, guys. It's like a broken Gasparilla necklace. That's it. That's what I think. Number 2, I'll get a little more sophisticated. Secondary structure. This is when the peptide begins to fold and bend into its shape. Now, this is important for your worksheet. Why is it bending? It's changing shape due to polar and nonpolar regions of the amino acids. And you might notice I left a bunch of gaps there. If something is polar, is it hydrophobic or hydrophilic? Does it love water or does it hate water? It loves water, so that's called hydrophilic. If something hates water, what do you call that? Hydrophobic. Hydrophobic is water fearing. Just remember, there's such thing called arachnophobia. What are you afraid of? Spiders. Claustrophobia, small spaces. Phobia means fear. Philia means like. So there's two main shapes for the secondary structure, guys. There's the alpha helix. That symbol right there means alpha. It looks like this. It looks like a spring. The protein is starting to twist and bend into its appropriate shape. And the other one is called a beta pleated sheet. That symbol right here is the Greek letter beta. Just like delta is a triangle, or omega looks like a upside down horseshoe. A beta pleated sheet kind of looks like a folded piece of paper. We have primary, we have secondary. What's the word that describes the third stage? Tertiary. No one says thirdly. None of you said that, so that's good. There's no such word as thirdly. It's the tertiary stage. Tertiary is 3. This one is easy because tertiary is 3. This is when the peptide is forming a 3D orientation. (3D), third dimensional, tertiary. That's how I remember it. Remember, its shape dictates, just like a dictator controls, dictates its function. Now, I'm about to try to draw this. It is going to look like a pile of squigglies. To the untrained eye, it looks like a pile of squigglies, but to a biologist, it looks like a protein. This is how they look. This is a peptide. I know it looks weird. It's not a straight line anymore. It's all folded and bent and twisted and contorted because it has to be a specific shape. And finally, last one, the quaternary stage. This is just multiple polypeptides bonded together. There's one polypeptide. Here's another. Here's another. And there's one more. So this is just multiple polypeptides. Okay. Give me 2 more minutes and we'll be done. 120 seconds, guys. I'll ask. You've been doing great. Appreciate it. I know it's not the most exciting thing. When we get to the real anatomy, you'll be having a lot of fun. We had to get through this first. It's just part of the process. Last thing, when your body temperature gets too hot, you get a fever and you get really hot, like 105, 110 maybe. That's crazy. Your body is way too toasty and proteins start to break down. They unfold. Do you know what this process is called, or proteins break down because it's getting too hot or too acidic? It's called denaturation. This is our last topic for today. Denaturation. This is where proteins unfold due to, what's the word I like to use? inhospitable conditions. Such conditions could be it's too hot or it's too acidic. And when a protein unfolds, the protein function is slowed down or stopped. So when your body gets too hot because you're having like a crazy fever, and we're talking really, 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 really hot, you can get to a point where your proteins in your body won't work anymore. And that's very dangerous. You have to cool down. The proteins begin to unravel and they can't work anymore. And these proteins keep you alive. If they start to shut down, you're in big trouble. And that's it. Hope it's safe.